Hey, what's up? Today I wanted to make a video about the top 5 favorite softwares that I use on Linux. And so if you're currently thinking, or maybe you're already in the process of leaving Windows for Linux, or you're simply trying to learn new softwares, then this video could be for you, okay? Keep in mind that all these softwares that I'm going to talk about are already available on Windows, okay? And so if you're currently transitioning from Windows to Linux, or if you're dual booting or something like that, you can already start using and learning these softwares on Windows, and so that would make the transition easier. That being said, the software that I'm going to talk about in this list might not be all free and open source, okay? I just wanted to talk about some alternatives that are available on Linux, and they're not in a very special order, okay? So let's go right in. So before we start, I just wanted to say that I decided to donate $20 to each of the free and open source software in this list because in my case, I'm lucky enough that I'm able to afford to pay for softwares, and since free and open source software respect my freedom, that means that I'm free to donate the money, okay? And so I donated $20. It might not be much, but it is what it is, okay? So the first software that I wanted to talk about is Inscape. And Inscape is a free and open source software for vector images. And it is an alternative to Illustrator or Affinity Designer. And personally, I use Inscape to create design that I put on merch and some products, mostly t-shirts, but the idea here is that I create designs and I make these designs available on any print-on-demand website like Amazon Merch, Redbubble, Etsy, TeePublic, and some other platforms. So for me, the main reason I use Inscape is for basic manipulations of SVG files like resizing, colors, alignment, and also used a bitmap tracing, even though the bitmap tracing could probably be a little better. That is a tool that I use. And also export quickly some images into transparent PNG. So on Windows, I was using Affinity Designer, but as of right now, it is not available on Linux, but I would absolutely love to see Affinity Designer coming to Linux. But for now, I'll be using Inscape, and I donated $20. Now, the second software that I wanted to talk about is Thunderbird. And Thunderbird is a free and open source software for email, and it is basically an alternative to Microsoft Outlook, which is the software that I was using on Windows. But if you didn't know, Outlook recently became free to use, but it is becoming ad supported, okay? And so if you're going to use Outlook, the free version, then you need to tolerate a bunch of ads. And for me, I hate and I dislike ads. And what I love about Thunderbird is that it doesn't show any ads, and I really appreciate that. And coming from Outlook, Thunderbird does everything that I need, which is mostly reading emails and replying to emails. And I need also 3 or 4 email accounts. Another thing is that when I was leaving Windows, Outlook was including new features, new AI features into the software. And I'm not quite sure about these AI features because I don't know what's going to happen with that, and I'm not quite sure what to think about that. I mean, are you going to use AI to like replace your own thinking? Like, is AI going to replace emails at some point? Like, is it going to be only AI talking to each other at some point? I just think it's a little bit scary to me. And so for now, Thunderbird gets my vote, okay? And I don't see myself using anything else than Thunderbird as of right now. And recently, it remade the UI, and I just think it's great. So for now, I keep using it, and I donated $20. Now, the third software that I want to talk about is GIMP. And GIMP is a free and open source software for raster images. And it is an alternative to Photoshop and Affinity Photo. And so personally for me, I mostly use GIMP to create my video thumbnails for YouTube and for video platforms. And technically it does everything that I need, but to be completely honest, I find that the controls and the keybinds and just playing around is a little bit annoying. And so, for example, I don't really love some controls, and there are some features that are hard to do in GIMP. And so, for example, what I love to do in my video thumbnails is that I love to create outlines around my elements and around my text, but in GIMP I find it quite hard because I have to create a new layer instead of creating an outline that is literally built in the elements. So that's kind of what it is. But if you don't want to use GIMP, you can probably find other alternatives on the web browser or simply some other apps like Photopea, and also use Kiddo from time to time or Microsoft Designer. And on Windows, I was using Affinity Photo, which as of right now is not available on Linux. But again, just like Affinity Designer, I would love to see it coming on Linux. But for now, I'll be using GIMP a little bit, and I donated $20, okay? Now, the fourth software that I want to talk about is Jlin. And Jlin is a free and open source software to take notes. And personally, I do note taking for various reasons. For example, I do some journaling, I track my gym progress, I do some to-do list, and I just love writing my thoughts, for example, to create these videos. And you see these scripts, I'm also planning to use these scripts to put them on my website at some point so that the text version then becomes available as some sort of blog. And as of right now, I think that Jlin is probably the best alternative to softwares like Evernote or Microsoft OneNote. I also know that Microsoft was adding AI to OneNote, which again, I'm not so sure about that, because with the current advancement of AI, I just think that human experience and human thinking is going to become more and more valuable and rare also. So in the end, as of right now, I just prefer writing my own thoughts instead of using AI to generate some text. And so all these videos and all these things that I'm saying, those are actually my thoughts, and I don't want to use some sort of AI to generate these things. I want to give my honest thoughts from my own thinking. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is that since this is a free and open source app, there's no inbuilt cloud feature, and so if you're planning to synchronize your notes with your phone and different computers, then you have to use some sort of third-party service. Okay, for example, as of right now, I'm using OneDrive to synchronize all my notes, but I think you can also use something like WebDAV as well. Another feature that I love with Jlin is that you can encrypt all your notes to make sure that they're safe. And another great thing that I love about it is that there's a big synchronize button that tells you all the information about the synchronization. Because when I was on OneNote, the synchronization was always made in the background and we had no information about the synchronization. And so sometimes with OneNote, I would quit the app without the application having synced properly, and because of that I would always get some sort of conflict with my notes, or maybe like since the synchronization was not working properly, then I would always get some sort of problem with the synchronization. But what I love about Jlin is that it tells me when it's synchronizing, and it tells me when the job is done. So I absolutely love that. And as of right now, I don't see myself using anything else than Jlin, and it does everything that I need. And so for now, I'll keep using it, and I donated 20 USD dollars. The fifth software that I wanted to talk about is Davinci Resolve. And Davinci Resolve is a commercial video editing software. And it is probably the best alternative to Adobe Premiere Pro. And as of right now, I've been using Davinci Resolve for a few months now for my videos. And the good thing is that it is available on Linux. Now, to be completely honest, for me, for my own needs, I like to keep my video editing quite simple, and I probably don't need a big software like Davinci Resolve. But to be completely honest, I just love using it. But depending on your needs, you might not even need like something as powerful as Davinci Resolve. Now, the thing that you have to be careful with Davinci Resolve is that it is a commercial software and it is not open source. But I still wanted to put it on the list because Linux users tend to be a little bit focused on free and open source. But I think that if we want Linux to be more mainstream and more popular, I think that we should be more welcoming and open to different perspectives, ideas, and companies, especially if they want to support Linux users. And so the fact that Davinci Resolve make the software available on Linux, I generally think that it's really awesome. And to be completely honest, I generally think that Davinci Resolve is an amazing software. And the first reason is because the free version, it has a free version, but you see the free version is actually really awesome. And it is not some sort of cheap freemium thing. You can actually do a lot of things in the free version, but obviously if you want more advanced feature, for example, the AI stuff, then you might want to pay for the full version. But again, if you decide to pay for the full version, then it's a one-time license fee and you own the software for life. So overall, I just think that Davinci Resolve is a generally good business model. The software has a good free version. The software is actually a good product. And if you decide to purchase the software, then you actually own the software because it is a one-time license fee and you get all the future version. The only bad thing that I have to say about Davinci Resolve compared to the Windows version is that the Linux version doesn't seem to be supporting the AAC audio, and so because of that, it gives me a bunch of issues with my audio. Okay, I don't have any audio on some of my videos, and so for me it's a little bit annoying. So what I have to do is that I have to use an extra little software that makes some sort of conversion to make to have the right audio, and so it's not exactly perfect, but it is what it is, and I still love Davinci Resolve. Now, since Davinci Resolve was a commercial software, I figured that I would put the free and open source software alternative to make it fair, which is why I'm going to bring Shotcut as software number 6. And the reason I want to talk about Shotcut is because when I started making videos a few years ago, when I started to video edit, I used Shotcut to do these things and it did the job. And to be completely honest, it's been a few years since the last time that I've used it, because for me right now Davinci Resolve is available on Linux and I don't see myself using Shotcut if I have access to Davinci Resolve. But in your case, if you're looking for free and open source video editing software, then you might check Shotcut out. That being said, Shotcut is the only free and open source software in this list that doesn't accept donations, so obviously I could not donate to this software, but one way to contribute is to simply talk about it and make videos about it, and so this is kind of what I'm doing here, I guess. Okay, I'm contributing to Shotcut by simply talking about it. And so in conclusion, if you're thinking about switching to Linux, or if you're already in the transition, or if you're simply considering new software, then those softwares are currently the ones that I use right now. And all of these softwares are available on Windows. So in my case, what I did is that, knowing that I was switching to Linux, the thing that I did is that I started to learn and to use the software on Windows, knowing that I was preparing my transition. So when I arrived and that I installed Linux, I already knew the softwares because I already learned them. So that made the transition much smoother. But for now, that's pretty much it for this video. And if you want to know why I decided to choose Linux over Windows, then you might consider watching this video right here where I explain everything in details, okay? But for now, that's it for this video, okay? Peace.